us, excuse me, you have to compare us to other grassroots,
Brother, now you non-corporate. She told me I'm a white supremacist. Okay.
We need you a white supremacist.
She said I was parroting the talking points of a white supremacist.
See, that was my disappointment.
May I finish,
earlier.
please?
I
May I get to my point? May I please
We're actually
get to
going to let
my
Dr. Stein and
point?
Angela Rye close it up.
Let me finish, please. Thank you. You're trying.
She mad. Why is she mad? Oh my goodness. So this interview was crazy. Like, I've never seen guest on, well, I guess I probably haven't seen enough, but guests on the Breakfast Club, especially when it comes to politics, get so heated. I thought people was going to jump over the table and start just throwing them. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just crazy. But let me go ahead and set this up. So in regards to third parties in America, one, let me turn to my notes here. Third parties is a weird spot in America. Like, I know they have third parties or multiple parties in other countries. How does that work? I don't know. Their country hasn't sank underwater yet. So it's like, it's something that's possible. But it feels like with just everything, all the functions, all the systems that we have in place in America, just really hinders third party potential candidates. And, you know, we have some pretty decent ones, which we're about to hear Jill Stein. But it's not something that's hard to understand. It's not rocket science. It's pretty simple if you've been in that political conversation for a little bit. Big money funding Republicans and Democrats. Like, if you're not making millions of dollars, millions. I mean, Kamala Harris has raised so much money in such a little time. She's breaking records. If you can't compete with that, you're done. I mean, because you need money to do things, ads, travel, pay this, pay that. You need money to get things done. The Electoral College, which is trash. If it's something that's complicated to explain, it's probably not useful. It's probably something else that's more simple to where everybody understands what's happening. But if you say, explain it, the Electoral College, it's going to be kind of confusing. You know, you guys vote, but then the one person who's representing your states gets to cast your vote. So you're like, are they voting what I'm voting? Like, it's just confusing. So the Electoral College really suffocates third party potentials. Debates. To get on the debate stage, you need to reach like, what, 5% or 13% or whatever stage of the debates you're in. If you don't have the money to run the ads, if you don't have the money to go to all these places, to interview, to show your faces, to have these rallies, then you're not going to poll. People are not going to know you. So why would you poll high? And ballot access, man, it costs money. It's just so weird, especially when I was following along with Cornel West in his weird campaign of trying to get on the ballots. I've learned so much that different states have different requirements, and some you have to pay, and it's just like, why? Like I understand not just any Joe Schmo should be able to just put their name on the ballot, because then that ballot gonna be like this, but like it has to be to where a candidate who's for real, a real candidate, can easily meet those requirements and not once again make it to where Republicans and Democrats, once again, you know what I'm saying? So, and a fun fact, 63% of Americans want more than just a two-party system. So, I mean, like, it's not really hard to understand that, but we're going to jump into this interview, and I encourage everyone to watch the full interview. It's an hour and 9 minutes, and trust me, it gets a little boring at the beginning, but like it gets real crazy real quick. And we're going to jump into where I think her name is Angela Rye, something like that. I apologize, but she's talking with Jill Stein and just really saying, hey, you haven't won anything. You never won a political X in never. So like, why are you crying? You know what I'm saying? So let's go ahead and jump in, and I'm gonna try not to cringe. But I have this up because, copyrights, and I don't want to get in trouble by YouTube. Don't get me in trouble, YouTube.
Work on me.
The only thing that I would say to you is I think it's very dangerous rhetoric to say there are two sides of the same coin. I do think it's important for us to
dangerous
understand.
to the Democrats, yes.
I think it's dangerous to all of us, actually. I don't have that privilege.
We disagree.
I understand. We do on a lot. We also agree on.
I think, and that's such a good topic they're just talking about is, they're talking about, oh man, I lost it. Okay.
A lot. But here's one thing I think we can agree on. Either you win or lose this election. There's really no in between. Dr. Stein, in 2002, you ran for governor of Massachusetts and you lost. In 2004, you ran for state representative in Massachusetts and you lost. In 2006, you ran for secretary of the Commonwealth. You also lost. In 2010, you ran for governor again, this time against the first black governor in Massachusetts, Deval Patrick. You lost. In 2012, you ran against this country's first black president, and you got just less than 0.5% of total votes cast. In 2016, you ran against Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, losing significantly with 1.4 million votes cast for you, but 0 electoral college votes, which I agree with y'all needs to be abolished. But 136 million people voted. And you lost that election as well. So I want to know what the pathway to victory is for you in 2024. It can't just be.
I'd like to provide.
So, I mean, just already right there. And let me remind you, the tensions were already increasing throughout the whole interview. So it just felt, and just be honest, just someone watching, it felt a little weird, a little disingenuous, like a little like you're taking it personal. You know what I'm saying? And, trust me, I'm going to shed some light on that. And it's not always about did you win or did you lose, but let's go ahead.
A different
phrase.
Shut your mouth. Watch your fucking mouth.
I want to provide.
And I also.
Can I respond, please?
And Kamala Harris supporter.
May I respond?
Go ahead, Angela. Go ahead.
Well, I would like to respond.
Yeah.
This is the framing of the empire and the oligarchy and white supremacy and colonialism, which wants you to feel that resistance is futile. This is about voter blaming and voter shaming.
Let me just
respond.
No. What you're not going to say is that I'm ever parroting anything at the hands of white supremacy. This is something that's very different. This is me asking you again. It's a binary choice in an election.
I'm just pointing out that these are the talking points.
No, it's not
the same talking points that the DNC
I didn't get my talking
uses.
This is not DNC talking points. This is my research. And sadly for you, the research says you have never won an election. You have been successful in pushing forward certain agendas as an advocate, but you have never won an election as a candidate. Is that a winning strategy?
So, in order to win, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. And in this case, it's many steps. Let me point out, please.
Come on, man. It just feels so petty. Like, but anyway, let's
need to
continue.
compare the Green Party, not with those who are taking money from AIPAC and the War Machine and Wall Street. You've got to compare us, you have to compare us to other grassroots, non-corporate.
She told me I'm a white supremacist.
We need
white supremacist.
She said I was parroting the talking points of a white supremacist.
See, that was my disappointment.
May I finish, please? May I get to my point? May I please
We're actually
get
going
to
to let
my
Dr. Stein and
point?
Angela Rye close it out.
Let me finish, please. Thank you. You're trying.
She mad. Why is she mad? Okay. And let's to Jill Stein's point, and I think she's gonna kind of clarify it here, but I'm pretty sure she knows right here. Angela, she knows if you, like I said at the beginning of this video, if you don't have the money to match what the Republicans and Democrats are getting in terms of raising money, and most of that money, of course, some of it's coming from regular folks, not me, because I ain't giving these suckers my money, but they're getting it from big companies, thousands of millions of dollars. So if you're a Green Party, which you can track and show that all your money is coming from regular people, it don't matter. That's not enough. You are not going to compete against Democrats or Republicans with the large sums of money that they're receiving. You're just not going to compete with that. So she knows that. Like, come on now.
To compare us to the Democratic Party and the Republican Party with their billions of dollars, or to the Working Families Party, which is not under attack. As a people-powered party, not taking money from Wall Street or the war machine or AIPAC, we are on very different turf. But if you compare us to all other similar parties, which are not taking corporate money, which are not bought and paid for, which can stand up against endless war, against homelessness, against the climate crisis, against the housing and the healthcare crisis. Campaigns like us, who can actually stand up for the people, they last exactly 1 to 2 election cycles, and then they're gone. So we are actually the pillar of strength among people-powered politics. And what have we done over that period? We have established the Green Party as the vehicle for people-powered politics. We have also launched the agenda, which has been adopted by the progressive Democrats, given lip service, not actually advanced. But whether you're looking at healthcare as a human right, launched by Ralph Nader as a national issue, reparations, launched by our campaign as a national issue in 2012. If you look at free public higher education, bailing out students and ending student debt. You had Congress bailing out the crooks on Wall Street who crashed the economy, but not bailing out homeowners, not bailing out students. That agenda was launched by us. So I think it's not fair, and it is the talking point of AOC the other day, who is taking her marching orders from the DNC. This is exactly what they say, that we are only running for president.
Women of color as parroting talking points instead of us looking at basic math.
My God, come on. We already know it don't matter if you're a person, a woman, a man of color. You can still knowingly and just being naive repeat white supremacist talking points. If you're just oblivious to all politics and you just been hearing things when were young around your parents and friends and family, and you grow up into an adult, you're just gonna unintentionally repeat these things. We know that. And two, just like the Tim Scotts and the other weirdos who are Republican, policymakers, they repeat stuff all the time. That's white supremacist talking points. So it don't matter. How dare you talk to say that women of color are? No, if you're doing that, you're doing that. It's that simple. It's not complicated. So maybe you need to check the way you're delivering your message or where you're getting your information. But it's important that you just don't use that as a shield to just deflect responsibility or the lack of on what you're saying. Pretty simple.
That AOC has done that you haven't is win some elections. And so when I'm asking you, Matt, the one thing that AOC has done that you haven't is win some elections. And so when I'm asking you if you've won any elections, that is one point. If you want to tell me that you want to push a more progressive agenda,
but can AOC freely say what she wants to say without getting, I guess, in trouble by other Democrats? Because that's happened to other, Democrats who stand up and try to, refute or stand opposite of what the main elitist Democrats, what they're opposing. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're in a party, and we can go back to Bernie Sanders, if you're not following in line with the mainstream understanding, they're going to blackball you. Once again, that's exactly what happened to Bernie Sanders. They was not going to let him win. And they didn't. And that's what the people wanted. So what Jill Stein is saying is, hey, I can be in a party and I can say what I want. I can say, hey, Israel is committing war crimes, committing a genocide. Climate change is real, and we got the facts to prove it. The U.S. and its war machine, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can say what you want and not have to worry about your party kicking you out if your party already represents that. And, you know, I've seen, you know, AOC kind of backpedal on some things. I'm not hearing her pushing any policy for healthcare for all, or, you know, like she once was when she first started. She kind of simmered down a lot. She tapered that back a lot. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, say what you want. I mean, Jill Stein might be hurting your feelings, but is she lying, though? Is she lying?
Let's talk about
if you
that.
want to talk about
1,500
pushing a progressive
elections.
agenda, you can do that, not by running necessarily for
As
president.
Frederick
Your track
Douglass
record
said,
as a state rep
power
candidate,
concedes
as a
nothing.
secretary of the Commonwealth candidate, as a gubernatorial candidate, as a presidential candidate are woefully lacking.
I hear
so I'm
this,
asking that you consider going about it a different way instead of telling me I'm parroting white supremacist talking points.
So I can
Perhaps
tell you,
hear the facts.
I
These
can
are
tell
the
you,
facts. The numbers are not on your side, right?
So Dr. Jill Stein, let's
Oh,
end with some closing
absolutely.
remarks.
Yes.
You know, on your campaign, and then the Honorable Angela Rye, you can end with your
I'm
closing
done.
remarks.
I've asked my questions.
Okay, so as Frederick Douglass said,
I don't ask my questions. Like, why are you mad? One, you're supposed to be interviewing and not taking it personal and having a debate. You know what I'm saying? Unless that was the agreement. But once that shows just a lack of just, you know, professionalism in that area. And trust me, I never, you know, had those kind of series, you know, with big names, but I'm pretty sure I would have handled that a lot better. But, you know, and you can push back, but once you start taking it personal and you start trying to throw shots, like, you just kind of make it awkward. You know what I'm saying? Like, now she's sitting at the end with her arms folded like a child. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on now. She ain't lying.
power concedes nothing without a demand. It never has and it never will. Like so many other Greens, I came from the world of social activism. I spent decades upon decades fighting for healthcare as a human right, for racially just redistricting, which we actually succeeded in, for getting big money out of politics and creating a public financing system, which we actually succeeded in Massachusetts until the Democratic legislature came in and invalidated the people's referendum, which had won by a 2-to-1 margin. They invalidated it on a voice vote and refused to provide the funding for it. I saw our movements being beaten back by the power, the political power of corporations and billionaires operating through the Democratic and Republican parties. I saw that over and over again. We are not making incremental progress forward. We're actually taking rather major steps backwards right now. You know, the disparities, racial disparities, black and white disparities are actually not better at all than they were in 1960, in spite of all the, you know, hard work and the lip service that's been given to racial justice and racial equality. You know, in Boston, in the Massachusetts area, the average household wealth of the African-American family is $8, considering debt. The average wealth of the Caucasian family is $250,000. And this is not unusual. This is where we are. We are stuck. If you looked at the footage from the floor of the DNC, what you could see were the corporate suites, which started at $500,000 each and went up to $5 million. This is the money running the DNC, running the Republican National Committee as well. These parties have been bought and paid for. They really do not have wiggle room. We're not going to fix this around the margins. We need to stand up and build a coalition. This was my experience as an organizer, a successful organizer on these many issues that I just ran through. How did we do that? You do it by building coalitions. But if your coalitions are only there for the moment, you know, you can get the bill passed like we did with public funding of elections, but they're going to tear it down. Then you need your coalition to remain in power and to remain effective so that you're fighting to maintain your victories. So what I see us having done since I first was tricked into running for office in 2000, running for governor, I was tricked into running for office because I saw we were failing over and over and over again on our aspirations for, you know, for racial justice, to fight white supremacy, to fight police violence, which also is getting worse year by year, to fight for health care. You know, the health disparities between African American and white population is about 3 years. 3 years of life taken away from African Americans, and that's before you add in the disparities in education. If you factor in education disparities as well, that 3 years grows to 10 years, a decade taken off the lives of most African Americans. To me, this was just unacceptable. I could not sit there and take it over and over again, especially after the Democrats reversed our achievements to get at the core problem, which is the corruption of money in politics. We solved that, and they basically tore that solution to shreds. I could not stand there. That's when I got recruited to run for office, because I began to realize this is about building coalitions. That doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot of education. It takes a lot of work. And so I ran in that first race for governor, challenging actually Mitt Romney, who was running for governor on the Republican ticket. And you know what? We had to fight our way to get into a televised debate, but we did succeed because the turnout was huge in the rallies that were demanding to open up the debates. And that debate was opened up on one occasion. And that debate took place in a TV studio. There was no live audience to read. So it was just, speaking to the other people in the room, small number of people, the guy behind the camera and so on. And the Green Party's proposals, which we've run through several times, went over like a lead balloon inside of that TV studio. And I walked out of there thinking, oh, well, at least I tried. But when I walked out, I was mobbed by the press, who told me that I had won the instant online viewer poll, which we didn't even know was going on.
And what she's about to say here is probably the most important thing right here. Most important thing.
To me, that was like a revelation that, oh my God, people actually agree with us. We don't need to change people's minds. People's minds have been changed by the desperate state of our economy, by, the incredible injustices, by the police state that we're living in, et cetera. And it wasn't nearly as bad back then in the year 2002. So we, at that point, it's like a curtain went up for me. And I saw, oh my God, this is not a matter of having to change people's minds. People are already there. It's just that people are denied knowing that there are options that actually empower us.
Boom. Bars. Pretty simple. You don't have to change people's mind. And I'm pretty sure if you watch or listen to people who have a pretty common sense understanding of how regular Americans think and act throughout the world, like, no one's really tripping like that. You know what I'm saying? No one's really as crazy as people are on the right. And I don't want to say left because, I don't really think there's really a fringe on the left, but whatever. People don't need to be convinced they need higher wages. People don't need to be convinced they need more higher quality, more affordable, if not free, healthcare. You don't have to convince them for that. You don't have to convince people inflation is too damn high and things need to be at a lower pace because wages are just not keeping up. You don't have to convince people that. They feel it. Just regular people, not these weirdos, the multi-million-dollar, not those, just regular folks. They already know that. But either party, they're not delivering that. Like she said, lip service. That's all they doing, is telling you what you want to hear, telling you whatever tickles your sweet ear. That sweet spot in your ear, they hitting that all the time. And you're like, okay, I'm gonna vote for him. Oh, Donald Trump, he gonna get us out of. Oh, I'm gonna vote for Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. 9 times out of 10, it's just all lip service. They might do a little thing here and there, boom, boom, because they know if they don't deliver anything, people are gonna go crazy. So they give you just a little bit, just to keep you here above water, your head above water right here, But here are just my simple solutions. Once again, I'm not a super informed, bill creator. But it feels like just with everything that I've been reading, hearing, taking note of from reliable sources, just 5 things right here. Take super PACs out of government and elections and everything. Like, if people want to run for office, they need to only get their money from American people, and it has to be a cap. That simple. That keeps greedy people out of politics, and that keeps people within the government, within these elections, from mismanaging the money. Hence Donald Trump. Like, it prevents that, because when there's millions of billions of dollars just floating, hands might get a little sticky. You know what I'm saying? Ranked choice voting. Simple. Voting. The day of voting is a national holiday. Force full transparency for these elections and these campaigns. I want to see who's funding you. I want to see how much you've raised, so we can keep people accountable, because we know people lie. And make election years for campaigns shorter. Campaigns shouldn't be starting 2 years before election. You're going to drive people crazy. What, maybe 6 months? Maybe a year? I don't want to hear about it for that long. You know what I'm saying? So I think if those simple implements was to be added, like, it might be a little better. And then we might be able to have a valuable, sustainable third party. And then maybe we can actually have a decent debate with more voices and more opinions, because I know what the right wants. I know what the left wants. And to be honest, I don't want what the right is serving. And the left keeps lying to a brother. Like, I want something different. Like, give me more options. I am tired of the 2 options that I have. So, but once again, if you think I'm just full of it, if you think that, you know, we don't need no more parties, and, you know, whatever stupid thing is going to come across some people's minds, just let me know in the comments down below. And like always, let's have that conversation.